Hello guys, today I'm going to be testing a 36-inch Heritage Spector ceiling fan from 1998. Let's go ahead and start installing. So first thing we need to do is put the bracket on the ceiling, here it is. Now, fun fact, I actually do already have a Heritage Spector in my collection. But that one that I had in my collection was brand new in the box. This one right here was used, but I mainly bought it because I can use a Heritage Spector motor, because there's another fan that I have made a couple of years later that's also made by Heritage. It's new enough to be a Seabrook Hill branded fan though. So it's kind of like a Heritage Spector 42-inch, but it has kind of like the cheaper kind of rounded off blades and not the pointed tip blades. And the motor, unfortunately, that one was defective. Okay, we have this bracket up here now. Okay, that seems pretty strong. Now I got the fan right here. And I have wire nuts here. And okay, I only have 2 wire nuts here. I need 2 more wire nuts, one for the ground and one for the light. I'll check and see if I have any in this bucket. Doesn't look like I do. Okay. Alright, let's see. Does this even have a ground? No, this doesn't even have a ground, so it is okay if we just shove this wire up in the box. I mean, this is only for testing purposes, so I would just shove the ground wire in the box, but if I'm hanging it permanently, I would absolutely have just connected the ground properly, because it's just more correct that way. There we go. All right. We have the white wire connecting to the neutral. Okay, we've got that connected. And we have the blue wire, which is going to connect to the red. That's for the light. And yes, I do realize I am hanging the fan with the blades attached, but that is how I got the fan. Okay, that wire's connected. And then the motor wire, which is the black, that'll be connected to the black wire from the ceiling. Okay. And then Then what I do is I just put the wiring back up in the box. Okay. All right. And then we have to connect these screws on the side of the canopy. And that actually installed pretty quick. Less than 10 minutes of installation time. Yeah, this installed pretty quick. Okay. Okay. So I gotta say, whoever had the ceiling fan when it was taken down, for somebody who probably doesn't care much about fans, he or she, whoever took it down, probably took pretty good care of this because it's not that messed up. I don't see any scratches in the paint really at all. It's really quite good. It's actually pretty rare for the fans I get in my collection. Usually they're all like bent up. Let's go ahead and on it and see if we have any explosions. Okay, we don't. That's good. That's the last thing we need is another explosion. We have this light kit here, which I really like the light on this thing. I think it looks pretty good with this thing. It's gotta be medium. It was medium. So here's the fan on high. And there's a lot of people out there, and this is where the comments box is probably going to be filled with a bunch of stupid commentary, but there's a lot of people out there that trash a ceiling fan just because it's heritage. Now, I gotta say, that's probably one of the stupidest things that I've ever seen come out of fan collectors. Maybe not the stupidest thing. I've probably heard of much stupider things than that, but that is definitely a pretty stupid way to evaluate a ceiling fan just because of the make and model. This is a Heritage Spector ceiling fan. This was probably sold for around maybe $20 at Kmart. And it was made just to cool a room and move air and make you feel more comfortable. And this thing absolutely does the job. And this thing right here is absolutely quiet. The motor has a little bit of a whine to it, which I find pleasant. And it actually is moving the air pretty good. Let's take a feet per minute reading here. Okay, we're gonna go with about I'll go with 433. So let's see here. Pull up my calculator. I think Yeah, I still feel some air in the... I still feel some air up against the iron, so I'm gonna go get my tape measure out and see like what inch circle I need to deduct. I'm gonna go, I think we'll go with the 6-inch circle. I think that's pretty reasonable. So we're gonna go 36 divided by 12, which is going to be 3, divided by that, by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 squared times pi. We're going to go with 7.1 as our starting number. And then we're going to subtract a 6-inch circle. So 6 divided by 12 is 0.5. We're going to do squared times pi. Number we're going to use is 6.3, so 6.3 times 433, 2,728 CFM for high. Now, that's I would say a pretty good average for a 36-inch fan. It's not as much as the EnviroFan is, but the EnviroFan was a lot more expensive than this. In fact, the EnviroFan, like even calculating for today's inflation rates, the EnviroFan would be 3 times as good as this, and it definitely doesn't push out 3 times CFM. So I think 2,700 CFM for something like this is totally acceptable. Because you got to realize too that is that size really does a number on the CFM calculation. Like with a 52-inch fan can be very pitiful, and it would still easily climb up to 4,000 CFM. But with a 36-inch fan like this, that's very hard to achieve it. And it's just because the area, which is size of the fan, like even a couple inches can really do a change on the area. So I'm gonna check the power consumption here. It's drawing 40 watts and 0.32 amps. Now medium. So let's do a CFM testing for medium. We'll go with 256. So 256 times 6.3, 1,613 CFM. So see, that's pretty good for medium speed for this size of a fan. So this is drawing 26 watts and 0.21 amps. And now low. That thing here is very quiet. This was for a $20 fan sold at Kmart from the 90s. The noise level on this is really cool, is really quite acceptable. I know there's a lot of cheap fans that would just make a really loud cyclic hum, but this doesn't do that at all. For a cheap fan, that alone is also really quite remarkable. Let's take a go with 98 for the feet per minute. So 98 times 6.3, 617. So this is a very nice, slow, calm low, which is what I like. Yeah, I think this is a perfectly acceptable fan. There's a lot of people out there that trash a fan just because it's heritage. And I think that's absolutely unnecessary because heritage fans, yes, they were a cheaper price fan and therefore they're not going to perform like a Casablanca, but they don't aspire to. The purpose of a fan is to move air and make you feel more comfortable, and this does that. This fan is also 28 years old. That alone should also be a factor of like why you shouldn't call these pieces of junk. Fans that I would call pieces of junk are ones that won't last, such as the Panama gear driven or any variety of the friction drive. Those are junk in my opinion because they simply didn't last very long and leading them to be very rare. Yes, I did just say that. Those friction drive fans, I would say, are just junk because think about how short those fans lived. And not to mention the noise level is probably several folds over than this is. This is nearly silent. And for a cheap product, that right there, if it's not noisy and it's cheap and it moves okay air, that I would say is a good value. I mean, you can't buy a good ceiling fan like this for $20. You can't even buy a nice ceiling fan at all nowadays. I mean, you can easily spend $300, $400, or $500 on a fan now. This is really nice looking. It's not ugly, and I would say this looks like an 80s product because it has nice stencil blades still. And it has the nice tulip light, although I think that was added on at some point of its life. This is not a terrible fan in my opinion. I don't know what you all are talking about, but this is not a terrible fan in my book. Alright, well, Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video on this